Former child stars are sometimes cast in a negative light. This week on Brio TV, the podcast, we celebrate one who, 60 years after her best remembered series premiered, continues to thrive. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Bill Brio. This September will mark the 60th anniversary of the premiere of Family Affair, a very 60s sitcom that was part of a mini trend of comedies without mothers. Think The Andy Griffith Show, Bachelor, Father, and My Three Sons. The series starred Brian Keith as a well-to-do Manhattan bachelor known as Uncle Bill, and Sebastian Cabot as his gentleman's gentleman, Mr. Giles French. The gentle family sitcom was more of a dramedy, with Bill Davis having to take charge of three orphans, young twins Buffy and Jody, and their big sister Cissy. Much has been made over the years of the tragic death of the youngest cast member, Anissa Jones, who died of a drug overdose at 18. Her young castmate, Johnny Whitaker, still with us thankfully, also battled substance abuse in his later years. In sharp contrast stars my guest, Kathy Garver, who is solidly in the Ron Howard, Jodie Foster line of child stars. The Long Beach, California native boasts close to 200 IMDb credits, some dating back to the early years of television, working with the likes of Milton Berle, Red Skelton, and Eve Arden. Besides Family Affair's 60th, Garver is celebrating the 70th anniversary of a movie she made as an 8-year-old, The Ten Commandments. There is so much to talk about, we barely touch on her roles in dozens of westerns, sitcoms, dramas, all these shows throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Garver also has a long list of voiceover credits and is a familiar face at Comic-Con, thanks mainly to her role in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. She's also written several books, including one out this year, and was nominated for an Emmy last year for narrating the audio version of the book Elvis, Rocky, and Me, the Carol Connors story. And yes, that's her in those hearing aid ads that have been in high rotation lately in Canada. Please welcome the charming and ever-busy Kathy Garver. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We might as well get right into it, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Is it heavy duty time?
Well, you would remember Howdy Doody time. You were were you ever in the Peanut Gallery?
No, I wasn't.
No, that would have been
in the Peanut Gallery with Art Linkletter. That was the only one, but not Howdy Doody.
So you were on Kids Say the Darndest Things, or?
Well, I was, yes, but I wasn't one of the kids, but I was in the Peanut Gallery.
That's
and
amazing.
There's a whole story about it. And the ones that got to sit there were the ones that were having their birthdays. So my mom and my brother was with me. You had to be under a certain age. And they said, go in there, go in there. And I says, but you have to have a birthday. They said, that's fine, that's fine. So Art Linkletter comes and he says, hi, how are you? And I says, good, what's your name? Kathy. How old are you? 5.5.
Wow.
So it wasn't my birthday.
Yes,
he rolled with it. He rolled with it.
It could have been your half birthday.
Yes, it was my half birthday.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's such a pleasure to talk to you. Of course, it's the 60th anniversary of Family Affair. That's a show that, and then your other accomplishments, Kathy, I have to say, very impressive. I can't believe all the work you're doing now and how distinguished it is. So congratulations to have this amazing career that dates back to Art Linkletter. It's pretty mind-blowing.
It is, especially since I'm only 50.
Well, you absolutely look like you're in your 50s at the most. So congratulations for good genes and everything else. That's pretty good as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But Family Affair, I have to say that, it's a series I grew up with. I was born in 1957, so I watched it the first time and enjoyed it. But my wife and I, during COVID, everybody was in isolation and staying home, and we watched it again from the beginning right through to the end, and we found it very comforting. It was a series that seemed really I don't know. It was like almost, it's funny and it was enjoyable for a lot of other reasons. But during that time, it was a real comfort show. It seemed like a real artifact family affair, like something that had all kinds of reasons to watch it. So why do you think it is that series you were on projected those feelings?
I think it was created to be like that. And it was at a time when not only physically with the camera, people were transitioning from movies to television. And so there was still, in essence, a film. It was all on film before we got to that, horrible kind of videotape that makes everything
Right.
too clear.
Yeah.
And so it gave it a lovely patina. And all of the people that worked on it were from film. And so that's one of the reasons. I think the second reasons were the stories, and they were all about love. And there was no violence. People didn't yell at people. People didn't put down people. It was the essence to build people up. And if they had a problem, which each show had a little problem to solve, it was solved in a gentle way. It was solved by listening to each other. What a concept. And so it was and remains to be a place where people can go and feel comfort and, take a bite out of that comfort cake.
And from what I understand, you were still a UCLA student, or you at University of Southern California, right? When
No, those are two different ones.
I know.
And I was with UCLA.
Okay, let's keep it right. So you were with the Bruins. You were with the Bruins.
I was with the Bruins.
Yeah. Okay. And how did you learn that this part was available, and did you have to audition for it?
Well, I was in my third year at UCLA, and I was living in the sorority house, Phi Beta Phi. And my mom called, and she says, "Oh, we have an audition for you." Hazel McMillan was my agent. Hazel just called me. My career was still being run by my mom and she said that it's a series, it's already been sold, and they are missing one character, and they need one more character, and they're already shooting it, and we have to go over to Westwood today. I said, "Today? But Mom, I have classes." "It's okay." And the other thing is, honey, they want someone who is blonde. And at that time, I had very dark hair. And I says, "But Mom, I'm blonde." She says, "That's okay." She says, "I can fix this." Moms always fix things, that seems. She says there's this stuff called Streaks and Tips that was available in the 60s, and you spray it on your hair, and it instantly turns a different shade. Now, they didn't have pink and purple and yellow and green like they have today, but they did have blonde. Right. So she speeds over to the sorority house. She sprays my hair with this stuff. I put on my youngest looking little outfit, and we go over to Desilu, and I talk with the creator and the producer of the show, Ed Hartman. And he was one of the real decision makers. So I'm excited. I said, "Oh, well, this will be nice. It's a TV series. It's already been sold." And so we're sitting talking, and then all of a sudden he looks at my hair and he says, "What's the matter with your hair?" I said, "My hair?" "Yes," he said, "it's turning green." "Oh, well, green? Oh, well, that must be the sunlight coming in on it." So we made a joke of it, and that it really, kind of lessened any tension. We got along great. They sent me to Max Factor the next day, which actually, well, that's a whole nother story. But I went to Max Factor and got this whole long yellow white wig and a blue and a white check dress. I look like Alice in Wonderland, to tell the truth. The next day, I'm doing a screen test on the set where bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And where they're already shooting the pilot, and I was right on the set, and I talked to the director, and they primarily just wanted to see my personality. And because my agent had shown them an episode of the Death Valley days I had done last year, when I was 18 and I was playing a 12-year-old. And it was a wonderful part, and I must say, and I was quite good in it, and it with June Lockhart. So they had seen that, and so the next day, I mean, this is a process that took 3 days. That's all. And then the next day, my agent calls and says, well, guess what? You got the part. You're going to play Cissy on Family Affair. And I said, well, that's wonderful. She says, there is a caveat. Well, what's that? She said, they said, never wear that wig and never wear that dress again. I said, you got it. And that's how I got that part.
So you shone through the dress and the wig. Good for you. And
Yes.
I read somewhere that they, at first, I think they had in mind someone who was a little bit younger, closer in age to the two younger kids. Is that true, that you kind of convinced them or turned them around in their impression of the third child?
No, actually, what had happened, they were supposed to be a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old, and me 15. And Johnny Whitaker they'd already cast Anissa Jones as Buffy, and Brian Keith was just finishing up The Russians Are Coming,
Yeah.
and Johnny Whitaker was in that. So he said, oh, this little kid would be good for the series. And so he went in and auditioned. And so all of a sudden they became 6-year-old twins. And there I was, the 15-year-old. So, but it worked.
Yeah, it did. It absolutely did. And I love The Russians Are Coming. The Russians Are Coming. That's a great film.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It has Norman Jewison, Canadian director, on that. So, but, you know, the children, it's always a curiosity to me. You had Bill Davis, was that the name of Uncle Bill? Was of course Brian Keith, and he had this Manhattan apartment that he lived alone in with a butler, but fortunately he had all these extra bedrooms for all of you when you arrived, right?
Right. Well, he had the guest bedroom, and that went to me and Buffy. And then he had an office, which he turned into a bedroom for Jody. So that's how it worked.
There we explained
it. There was Brian's big bedroom, and then there was Mr. French's room, but those were already set. So it was actually just a 3-bedroom.
All right, that makes sense. Now, you know, from what I understand, Brian Keith had one of those sweetheart deals like Fred McMurray, where he just worked 3 months and then golfed for 9 or something, right? Is that true?
Well, he actually didn't golf, but he worked. He was one of the hardest working actors there was in Hollywood. And as I had mentioned at the beginning, we were transitioning from film to television. And Wobio, the actor that did something on TV, that horrible little box. So in order to soften the blow, Don Feddersen, who did My 3 Sons with Fred McMurray, started this Feddersen method. And he said, okay, look, you only have to work 2 months out of the year, and the rest of the time you can do what you want. You can go do your movies. And so it won't be a blight on you. And then he had that same deal that he presented to Brian Keith. He first presented it to Glenn Ford, and Glenn Ford turned it down. He says, I'm not doing television no matter what. But Brian agent said, no, this is good. But the big kicker was they got a part of the show financially.
Wow.
Now, that, and especially for Fred McMurray, he said, okay, this is a good deal. For Brian, yes. And that had not been done before, except for with Lucille Ball, you know, and for an actress then to own part of this show.
Yeah.
So from Lucy and then to the Feddersen method, that's how they got the stars to come over.
And was it tricky for you and other actors, because there would be scenes where, you know, you were supposed to be talking to Uncle Bill, but you were, I guess, talking to some extra or a director or a stand-in?
Well, yes, and that was applicable on 2 or 3 different kinds of occasions and reasons. One, because Brian would do all his scenes, and then we would come back and pick up his scenes.
Yeah.
And plus, the kids could only work 8 hours. Now, 3 hours of that had to be devoted to school. So that makes 5. And then another hour, you know, was for lunch.
Yeah.
So there was really only 4 hours that they could work. And Sebastian was not feeling well all the time, and Brian was gone or whatever. So who was there? the strong over 18-year-old that got in there at 6 o'clock in the morning and left at 6:30 at night. And if the kids were gone and I was doing, they were picking up my close-up at the very end of the day after I looked haggard, but not really. But yeah, I was, tired. And then the assistant director would take on and be the character of Buffy or Jody. So here he was, this big guy, and he had a cigar. And I said, "Oh, Buffy, okay, do you want to go to the park?" "Yes, Cissy, let's go." And I said, "Okay, here we go." And so, yeah, a lot of imagination, but that's why they call us actresses and actors.
That's a great story. Don't go away. We'll be right back in a moment with Kathy Garver. Well, we're here with Dr. Emily Gagne of Hollywood Suite. Doctor, what do you prescribe this month for your viewers?
Well, it's franchise frenzy season, Bill. So we've got lots of iconic films from different franchises. One of my personal favorite franchises, Austin Powers.
Oh, I love that series, yeah.
Oh, one of the best.
Aren't they making a new one?
They sure are. So no better time to be revisiting the first three films.
Well timed. That's awesome. That's great. So what other franchises do you have?
We got the Ocean series, which I know a lot of people like. And for the kids out there, we've got all the Twilight films are back on the surface.
Oh, my goodness. So we've got the sky above and the ocean below.
Exactly, Bill.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Now, you've got some series news, though, coming up in the month following, right?
Yes, we're going to have some new episodes of our original series, Cinema A to Z. We've got some great topics this time, like party films, creature features, sports films, and my personal favorite, witches.
Well, that's all coming on Hollywood Suite. Emily, thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill.
Good evening. So nice of you to join us.
Here she is again, Kathy Garver. And in rewatching the show, I noticed how so much of it was in close-up. And I guess part of that was just a practical thing, right? Because if you were picking up shots, you didn't want a wide shot. You needed it to be tight because, Brian might not have been there or the kids might not have been there and they had to come right in, right?
Well, actually, it was more of a, I think, a cinematic reason. Not everybody was usually always there when they were shooting Brian's scenes. Okay. And so when he left, then we did all the scenes that he wasn't in. But Ed Hartman, in his whole philosophy, is that acting is in the eyes. And so he wanted these great big close-ups and he wanted the people to get to know the people. And I look back in the show, it's so slow, compared to the pace that we see in a lot of shows today, which another thing, as you mentioned at the beginning of our interview, is it was comforting. It wasn't rushed. You could take the time. You could see the people's reaction. And when I had read the script and then done all my scenes, and then when I saw what they did, the way that they cut it, they would wait. So they had the footage from the other person. So let's say, it's you and me, Bill, and we're at the table and you say, "Well, I'm enjoying this interview." "Me too, Bill. It's really fun to see you again." "I think so too." But they had those things. So when they cut it, this is really fun being here, Bill.
Yeah, it's really fun seeing you too, Kathy. And it's interesting because I think that's one reason why I found it so comforting too, because there's such an intimacy with those close-ups, and you guys were very skilled at it. You really could pick up your expressions, and my goodness, Brian Keith was a tremendous face actor, right? Like he really reflected a lot of what he was feeling, I thought, in watching the show.
Absolutely. And reactions. I mean, what is acting? Reacting. Yeah. So with the each person, and it was pretty much standard. You take the the main shot, then maybe a two shot, and then the close-ups. And that's the way they did it. But the editing was what was interesting. And they kept the camera on as one listened to the other actor and was, nodding or, through the eyes, taking it in. And then those particular reactions are the ones that they put in it. And as you said, it makes it more intimate, and it helps get to know that particular person and that character. I just did a what was it for Entertainment Weekly? I did a interview with them yesterday, and I was saying that it was so interesting when they tried to remake it, and they just didn't quite get the essence of Family Affair. With Tim Curry playing Sebastian Cabot's part and Gary Cole playing Brian's part. Gary Cole is a nice actor and doing well on NCIS, but he wasn't Brian Keith with that macho on the outside, that sensitivity on the inside. And as you say, this miracle of reflection, and people can look at his face and see the emotion.
And he was on an earlier series. I collect 16 millimeter film, so I have some episodes of TV shows on film. I don't have any Family Affair. They never come up on eBay. They're too rare, I think. But there's a fall preview reel I have of Keith in a show called The Westerner, which was directed by Sam Peckinpah. All these great film talent. And it's really extraordinary show. He was a great actor. So, and you had worked with him prior to Family Affair, is that correct?
Yes, he had a series called The Crusader, black and white. Our show was Family Affair was one of the first in color, but this was like in the 50s, and I played a waif, and he rescued me. And I had forgotten about that, really, because, here I was doing this and that and the other thing and going to college. And I said, I've worked with Brian before. And I worked with Don Feddersen before on The Millionaire. Wow. I did a couple of the Millionaire TV shows. Do you have any of those? Do you have just films, or do you have TV?
I have the films, but I don't have The Millionaire. I remember I have memories as a little kid. My dad would talk about The Millionaire was one of his favorite shows, because this guy would just hand out $1 million to a random stranger, right?
John Beresford Tipton. Yes.
There you go.
Some of them did it well. It's like people who win the lottery. What do they do? Yeah. And do they squander it? Do they invest it? Do they what? And it's interesting. Wouldn't everybody like to? Well, now I'd rather be a billionaire, but.
Well, this is if they remade it, it would have to be The Billionaire. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Now, I know you have a few favorite episodes, and I think I read where one of them was your Cissy joins the Peace Corps or something. Do you have a couple you like especially?
Well, I'm going to, our debut was September 12th, 1966. That's when Family Affair came out. So last week, Catch a Comedy, which is playing Family Affair. And I think it's probably in Canada. I know that it's, in different stations all over the United States. But they came to my house, and I was to pick out my 8 favorite episodes.
Oh, great.
And so I introduce it, and then we have the 8 episodes. I do the interstitials or the comments on each one of my favorites. The Peace Corps didn't quite make it in, although it was in there. And I wanted that as one of my favorites. And David Ladd was in it, Alan Ladd's son. Oh. And he played my quote unquote love interest.
Wow.
But that was one of my favorites, and it got bumped out. Like one of my other favorite was Somebody Upstairs. And that was when Buffy and I wanted to be songstress, and we sang. I played the piano. Let us entertain you, and that was so much fun to sing. But they didn't get the rights to be able to show that on. That show.
Music.
But but it'll be shown September 13th. It starts, I think, at 1:00 Central Time.
Something to look forward to. That's great. We'll get all 8 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one that sticks out for me. It's a very unusual one when we rewatched, and it was Eve Plum from Brady Bunch guest, and it was Christmas in July. It was a real tearjerker, that this young girl would not live to see Christmas, so the family decides to speed things up and have Christmas in July. As an actress at the time, do you find that episode especially moving? Was it a tearjerker for you?
Well, I think that there were so many of the episodes because A Family Affair wasn't necessarily a comedy or a sitcom, although it's put in that genre. It was like a dramedy.
Yeah.
And so many of the episodes had to deal with something very serious.
Yeah.
And Brian Keith took them seriously.
Yeah.
And his kind of gentle humor, that was, it's not like a jokey kind of show, except for the kids.
Yeah.
And they have their kind of laugh lines as kids do. But it was very sad. And I think that a lot of them were. And they each had the hint of a moral, which I think was very nice. Ed Hartman, who I first met and who hired me along with Don Feddersen, he was president of the Writers Guild, and he was an excellent writer. And I remember going out to lunch with him, and we discussed writing and what goes into a show. And he says, writing is like a palm tree. You start at the bottom of the palm tree with some kind of problem, and then you start climbing up the palm tree and you get to the top. You look around, what's the solution? What's to the solution? It comes to you and you slide down the palm tree. So there you have the arc, the classic art.
That's right from an expert.
Yeah. And you see each show follows that same classic arc, which again, I think makes it relatable today, makes it classic. And it makes it, people want to watch it and be comforted and laugh.
And where was it shot? Was it shot at the CBS Television City or the Radford lot or somewhere else?
Our first year was at Desilu.
Oh.
And because it is the 60th anniversary, we're doing all kinds of events, etc. And one thing we might do like a watch party for the September 13th. And that would be at the lot that was Desilu, which Paramount bought. Now, Paramount bought Desilu, and that was Lucy and Desi's studio. And so Don Feddersen and Feddersen Productions were just renting the place at Desilu. So we went over to Radford, to CBS Radford. That used to be the old Republic studios in the valley. Oh, so far in the valley. No, it happens now. It's very close.
Yeah.
But so then but some of the stages were still from the Republic. Certainly the restrooms were, but he rented the space there, and the stage 10. Next door was Big Valley, stage 11, where I did an episode while I was still doing Family Affair. But that's where we shot. And now it's been, of course, redone a lot. And you go into CBS Radford, and right on the left-hander side are tiles with all the stars of what shows actually were filmed there.
Yeah, I've been on that.
Trek.
I've been on that lot. It's a real, it's wonderful. They have recognized the heritage of it like that, so you can see the old Westerns. And do you remember when you were the first season at Desilu? I think the Dick Van Dyke Show ended and your show began. Did you know if you were in the same studio as that show, or do you know what else might have shot in any of the actual studios that you were in?
Star Trek was right around the corner.
Wow.
And, we both, this is its 60th anniversary as well.
Yes. Yeah.
We debuted 1966. And I was astounded by the way that they shot. They didn't shoot like we did, which was the main shot and the two shots and then the close-ups. They would have their camera and they would be like on the set, and when someone started talking, they would film them and then move the camera as to the next person who was talking and move it to the next person who was talking and bring it back. And they shot like, 6 pages in one take.
Wow.
Whereas we, and especially with kids, I mean, I was a one take person, but sometimes with kids, it was like 3 or 4 or 5 takes. But it was a different way of shooting. So and experimental too, because here we are into a new realm.
Yeah. So Star Trek shot at warp speed is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, guys always give the baseline. So what you're saying is this. I said, yes, that's exactly right.
Would you go to the commissary and there was Leonard Nimoy with his ears on and stuff like that happening?
Right. Yes. Yeah. And that commissary is still there.
What a remarkable time. You must look back and think of incredible to be in that sort of golden age of television, wasn't it? Right?
Well, there was a lot of new, exploration going on with Technicolor. Mm-hmm. That's what was really, really happening. And I remember also on our lot was Gunsmoke. Been there for a long time. So I ran into some of those characters. But yeah, it was exciting. It was fun.
I used to be a photo editor at TV Guide Canada, the Canadian edition, when I started covering TV, and a good friend of mine was Gene Trindle.
Yes,
right. So Gene shot you guys for the cover, all carrying umbrellas. And do you have that cover? Did you have a still?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was one of the top. I don't know if it's 50 or top 100 covers for the TV Guide. I do have it. I was going to say, sometimes I have it on my wall. Even I have it.
I remember Gene saying that he sent his assistant to a 5 and 10 store to buy something so they could blow bubbles, and then he shot the kids blowing with Mr. French in the middle, right? And just something, a simple little prop like that. Do you also happen to have the Mad Magazine parody of Family Affair?
I do. Yeah, I loved it.
It's fantastic. It must be that must be like winning an Emmy to get a caricature in Mad Magazine, right? It would be right up there, I would think.
Right. Yes. I was actually just nominated for a Grammy this year.
Congratulations. I'm going to get to this. Your career is just astounding, and all the audio work and writing books, and hats off to you, Kathy. It's incredible. But yeah, I know that the Mad Magazine, all I remember is Mr. French was called Mr. Stench when I was a kid reading that.
And I love the last page. You turn the page and there I am smoking a cigarette with a great body, lounging like this. And I think that the kids were, I don't know, but I certainly that stays in my mind.
No kidding. Now, whatever happened to Mrs. Beasley? Is she in the Smithsonian? And I understand that there's a toy line and it helps raise funds for a children's charity. Is that correct?
Right. Mrs. Feddersen, Don Feddersen's wife, Yvonne, during the 60s, and it was the Vietnamese War, and she started a charity called Child Help, and she would fly Vietnamese orphan children to the United States and help them out.
Wow.
When the war was over, she had the organization and everything, and so it now helps abused children, and there are like little settlements of houses and everything that the children can come to and be helped. So Ed Hartman, in his dear heart, gave the rights to Mrs. Beasley to Yvonne Feddersen for Child Help. Everything else is like Paramount, went to Paramount, etc.
Right.
But they have the right to the doll, and they get a certain percentage of money every time the doll is sold. Well, this doll is still selling 100,000 Mrs. Beasley's a year. And about 5 years ago, they started making little Mrs. Beasley ornaments, which are just fabulous. And now for the 60th anniversary, they're putting out a special anniversary ornament and also a snow globe of our whole family that's going to be out. That's
amazing. And can people get more information about where to obtain that from your website?
Yes, from my website, and there's a Family Affairs 60 anniversary website. And so, yes.
I looked at
I'm sorry, and Ashton Drake itself, Ashton Drake's website.
I looked at the 60th one, and there's these great illustrations of 60 and all of you as in coming out of the zero for very well designed, and it's very eye-catching. So congrats on all of that. There's some special celebrations coming up. Will you be watching the show at a party or for the anniversary? What's planned?
Yes, so we're going to have a watch party. We don't know the place yet. We were going to have it, and we might still have it at CBS Radford in the screening room, and then have popcorn and things like that. And we have a big cruise planned on May the 11th of 2027, because it's a year-long celebration from like September 12th, 2026 to September 2027. But May is the 60th anniversary family affair cruise, but it's primarily Kathy Garver, who played Cissy on Family Affair. And so we're going to have like a special welcome party, and there'll be events, and I'll have panels. This fellow just sent me last week, talking about 60 millimeter. He found a promo of Mrs. Beasley coming down, an animated promo, which is absolutely great. And also there of a scene where there's the actual clapboard and everybody going around.
Outtakes. That's great. Wow.
Yeah. And you'll probably know to do the film, you have to use vinegar to clean it up. He used vinegar. But then I asked him, and I said, did you use oil too? But anyway, that was a joke.
Oil and vinegar. No,
yes, oil and vinegar.
The film collectors, when they pick up the reel and they smell it, and if it smells like vinegar, they go, "Can I get fries with this?" That's a bad sign. So the
cruise goes from starts in Rome, goes down the whole Amalfi Coast.
Wow.
I've always wanted to do that. Absolutely beautiful. To Nice, and then Florence, the Como Lake, Mallorca, and it lands in Barcelona in Spain. So
that's amazing. Okay, well, we'll get more information on that. Back with more with Kathy Garver after this short message. Paramount Plus is packing August with blockbuster premieres, exclusive series, live sports, and returns you won't want to miss. First up, it's the season 3 premiere of Lioness, the CIA drama starring Oscar winners Zoe Saldana and Nicole Kidman. New episodes drop every Sunday. Then there's The Westies, the critically acclaimed Irish-American crime drama with new episodes every Monday all month long. Paramount also has the exclusive premiere of the haunting psychological drama Mother Mary, starring Anne Hathaway and Michaela Cole. What's it about? Well, when a world-famous pop star flees her comeback tour in crisis, she seeks out her estranged former collaborator in the English countryside. August also brings the return of The Challenge, with new episodes airing weekly on Wednesdays. And then set phasers for stun as Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 4 continues its weekly rollout all August long. New episodes drop every Thursday. And remember, these are all just part of the mountain of entertainment you can stream now at Paramount Plus. We're back. Now, these days, the series would have been extended with a Cissy spin-off. Was that ever discussed back in 1971 when you finally went off the air?
Not in 1971, but later on. Oh. And my stepson said, okay, we're going to do Aunt Cissy. And so that was like in the works, and we did a pilot, but I think it's time to do another one. They tried to remake it, and
yeah,
I didn't mean to say this, but and when I was talking to this interviewer, the reporter Joey, and he said, "Well, what about that remake?" And I says, "Well, I hate to say this. I mean, pardon my language, but it sucked."
Well,
and then the headline that came out yesterday was Kathy Garver shades Tim Curry.
That's funny. Well, your assessment was not wrong, so I don't think what are you going to do? We'll think fondly of the late Tim Curry there.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't asked you at all about Sebastian Cabot. What was he like?
Oh, he was great. Again, I think that our particular cast worked so well, and it seemed to become a template for so many other sitcoms that emerged, like the Brady Bunch or, comedies like that. Ours was, I think, special because of the chemistry. Everybody liked each other. Everybody individually, I think, had a loving spirit. They just had a special talent and a special, something that was in them that not only enabled them to be a wonderful actor or person, but, enabled other people to feel that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he was very genuine. And you've been very generous.
You are again with the baseline. Yes, warp speed, genuine. There we go. You would be a great person. Too bad we don't have Reader's Digest anymore.
I know.
You can really synopsize things beautifully.
Well, I've tried. I've written for years and still writing, but mainly podcasting. It's this way I don't have to worry about the spelling,
I have a new podcast.
Do you? Oh, tell us about that. Yes, and I listened to one recently, but yeah, tell people about that.
It's called Catchy Classics with Kathy. I love alliteration. Catchy Classics with Kathy and Larry.
Larry, right.
So my co-host is Larry Da Silva, who had been a radio personality for like about 25 years. And we did Ruta Lee and Joyce Bulifant.
Wow.
And we're doing my friend Michael Stern next, who was a Lucy fan. And he has known Lucy and Desi and all of them, their closest friend. So he's got lots of tales to tell.
That's fantastic. You're the perfect host for that. That'll be amazing. So I have to listen to more of them. I want to ask quickly, I know you've been generous with your time, but if I could just touch on your early career, even before Family Affair. It's also the 70th anniversary of the 10 Commandments. Just tell people who might not be familiar. I think the story is that you had a small part, you were an extra on it perhaps, and then Cecil B. DeMille, of all people, spotted you and gave you a more prominent role. Is this true?
That is true. Now, that is not apocryphal. This is a true story. And this was my second movie. My first was Night of the Hunter. And then I had an agent. And so, of course, Hollywood was looking for background people. I didn't know what background was. But I went over to Paramount with my mom and got, body makeup and face makeup and got this kind of the scratchy robe on. And then we went over to the stage, because they were shooting this particular scene on the stage at Paramount. They had like a paper mache mountain there, and they had a road, and all of the wagons were exiting. I know you're going to come back and say one sentence how this story goes, but
no, this is great. Keep going. Absolutely.
So I'm in the wagon with this little lamb, and we're leaving and exiting. And getting out of Dodge, so to speak. And all of a sudden, I heard this big voice say, "Don't let that little girl's face get in the camera." And I said, "Who's that?" He said, "Is he talking to me? Is that God?" And so I looked up, and there's this big crane and this man on it. And so everybody paid attention to him, and the assistant director came over and kind of hid me behind a blanket, and we did the scene, came back. He got me off the wagon. That man on the crane came down. He walks over to me, and we start chatting. "Well, what's your name?" "Well, I'm Kathy." And he says, "Are you having fun?" He says, "Oh, yes, I like all the animals around." Anyway, we chatted.
Yeah.
Well, then he left, and the assistant director, and I was by my mom, and he told her, he says, "Well, your daughter's going to be on this movie a lot longer." Turns out I was on the movie for 6 weeks. That was Cecil B. DeMille, that cinematic deity. And he wrote scenes into the movie for me, and one with Charlton Heston.
Wow.
So this was not unusual for him to do. He had done that with other people because he realized, I mean, he's doing these great big epics and he had all these people. And so he wanted it to be relatable. How are those people actually feeling in this great mass, of people going out?
Wow. I'm surprised he didn't add extra commandments just to, maybe the 12 commandments to give you more. That's incredible. And you mentioned that you had been on the Night of the Hunter. So you're working with people like Charles Neston, Robert Mitchum, Shelley Winters. Charles Lawton directed Night of the Hunter. Do you have any? You would have been like 7 or 8 probably. Do you have any memory of that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It was my first movie. And I'm, thank you, God, very aware of things. And even that age, and kids in general, sense things. They can see things and feel them. But it was terrific, and he was very nice. I was the double of this little girl, and who was hired, but she was only 6, and I was 8, and I had been singing and dancing since I was 3. Wow. So I was an accomplished, like, quote unquote, entertainer. And so I did all of her scenes running, going up into the hayloft. There's a scene, not to be a spoiler, where I discover that the money that was stolen was hidden inside a doll. I'm surrounded by dolls in my life. I'm having a doll made. I am. And so I discovered the doll and look at all these pieces of paper and start cutting out these paper dolls out of the money. And my brother, Billy Chapin, goes crazy. But I have this fabulous picture that I absolutely adore. A black and white picture of me and Charles Lawton and Billy Chapin and Lillian Gish around the cheese. And he's showing me how to cut out the paper dolls out of the money. And so that is such a treasure. And my biggest treasure is the book, The Night of the Hunter. That's what the movie was taken from. Yeah. And I took it to the party afterwards, and I have signatures from Shelley Winters and Lillian Gish and Charles. And so I love that. That's
fantastic. Good for you. It's amazing that you're linked to, some of these people, Cecil B. DeMille made silent movies, it's incredible. And your other credits at that time, Sergeant Preston of the Yukon, The Millionaire you mentioned, Father Knows Best. You worked with Milton Berle, The Rifleman. You must have, I don't want to go through all of that, but was there one that stood out from those early days? Was Milton Berle really he was kind of, his reputation was one of that wasn't that great on the set, that he was kind of he cracked the whip, I guess, is a polite way to put it. But I don't know if you have any memories of that.
My childhood memories is he was a big man, and he was a little gruff, and he was loud and very energized. Right. That was my feeling that I got from him. He never did anything mean or whatever, but that was my sense of who he was.
Yeah, I guess so. Did you try, you may have been a year or two old, but did you ever, were you tempted to try out for the Mickey Mouse Club at this time?
Yes, and I did, and they turned me down. That was, that was okay. You don't want me to do that? And I said, well, all right. And here I could sing, I could dance.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was not chosen, but God had some other things in store for me. And I'm very pleased with I have to listen to my insides and kind of go along the path that he is leading. And strange things. A lot of things just pop into my lap. Like I went to, that was this year, went to Shanghai to do a vertical. Yeah. And I'm actually having lunch today with another Chinese friend I have about going to Beijing and being a lecturer. And those things, I did not seek out, but that just kind of happened.
And just explain, a vertical is a very, very short, maybe a 2-minute drama that they're very popular in China, I know. And the ones that you're making, are they going to be shown in China or in the United States? What's the plan?
They're international. It's like $1 billion business. They started in Shanghai, but India and any place in the United States. And as a matter of fact, I just joined an advisory board for a production company, and we're going to do the little 2-minute things. You watch them on their verticals because you watch them on your phone.
Right.
And they're all taken like that. Yeah. And Chinese ones, they all have the very same story. It's the same story each time. The billionaire, the hidden billionaire, the abused daughter that was thrown out of the house. That's mine. You don't mess with the pampered mama. That's the name of my vertical. And I'm the matriarch, and my husband threw out one of our daughters because he was a horrible, cruel man. They're all horrible and cruel, and the matriarchs are always nice. Sometimes we can be mean as well. And so the daughter comes back, and she's like a female Musk, and she has SpaceX and $500 million watches and all this.
That's great. Now, let's quickly touch on your career. I mean, just if we were talking to you about your voice career, that would fill a few podcasts. I'm not only all these animated shows, but your voice has been heard on in Apollo 13, Ransom, Backdraft, Jingle All the Way. But you've also done these animated roles on Super Friends, the Fonz from Happy Days, Spider-Man, Dennis the Menace, Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters. How did you get into voice acting? And was this something that you were looking to do right after Family Affair? What was it that led you there?
Well, I had a commercial agent, Don Cummings, and I would go on interviews for a regular commercial. And one time he said, okay, we have an interview for you, and it's a voiceover. I said, well, what's a voiceover? I don't know what that is. He said, that's okay. Just go on the interview. It's fine. You just read what they give you. I said, oh, okay. So I went to Century City, and it was for Sun-Kissed Tuna. And I had the script, and I said, oh, I can do this. This is a piece of cake. And I said, okay, I like starfish tuna. He says, okay, that's great. Now do it in a different voice. What do you mean a different voice? You do it in a different voice. I said, I have no different voice. This is my voice. What does he want from me? So I did, like starfish tuna. He said, okay, all right, thank you very much. And don't call us. So I said, oh, okay, I'm going to have to find out about this because that was a little embarrassing. So I took lessons. I always suggest that to people. Find out how to do your skill. And then that started my voiceover career. And actually, it's the 45th anniversary of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends this year. And I played the character of Firestar. And of course, Spider-Man, the live action just came out and broke every single record.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a very big celebratory year.
So you're a star at these Spider-Man conventions, I guess, right? I mean, your career is at so much variety that you could just do all these kinds of events now, probably because there's so many Spider-Man fans. They must really flock to hear from you now, right?
Yeah, I do a lot of Comic-Cons, and in September, I'm actually going to Mount Airy, where that's Andy Griffith's birthplace, because the Grammy that I was nominated for was for Elvis, Rocky, and Me, Best Audiobook Narration. But the year before, I had done Being Thelma Lou, which was the story of Betty Lynn. So that is my entree into that particular event and festival that they are having.
I've been to Mount Airy, and I was driving back up from Florida to Canada and stopped on the I-90 or whatever it was. It wouldn't have been that highway, I-75. But anyway, I pulled off, and it's fascinating because they have Goober's Garage Station. They got the Hurry pork chop lunch place. They got Otis the Town Drunk is walking around. It's amazing because this show was on 60 years ago, even further back, and it's still happening, right? So
right, yes.
Good for you.
We have to embrace our history. It's lots of fun.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be doing a movie in Australia. I'm producing it and I'm starring in it. I'm not starring in it. I'm doing a supporting role in it. Yeah. But it's based on Pollyanna.
Wow.
And on the original book of Pollyanna, the 1939 book. I don't think the original book was based in Australia, but that's where we're going to do it next year.
Well, in looking at your IMDb credits, and there's like 150 of them or something, you have 4 movies this year in 2026. When do you sleep?
I sleep very well. That's why I think I'm able to do it. I hit the sack after a glass of wine at 10 o'clock, and I get up at like 6-ish and 70, 6 or 7, do my exercises like Mark Wahlberg. Then I'm ready to greet the day and meet the day and speak with lovely people like you.
Well, thank you.
Because here it is. I've got to go to Pasadena for my Chinese friend to have lunch.
I'll let you go. We'll just mention your book, Romancing with the Stars, Inspiring Hollywood Love Stories. It's just came out on Valentine's Day. People, go to your website, find out about that. And also, I want to just thank you very much for your time. Offer condolences on the loss of your husband. I understand he passed away in the last year. So you were married a long time, and my condolences for that news. But congratulations on such a thriving career, Kathy. It's quite inspirational, and all the best with everything else you have planned for the rest of the year.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, David and I were married for 44 years, and it's in my book also, Romancing with the Stars, Inspiring Hollywood Love Stories, along with Frankie Avalon and Pat Boone that have been married a long time. But you can get that all on Amazon and on, of course, my website, kathygarver.com. Well, my thanks again to Kathy Garver, who celebrated her 80th birthday last December. You can find out all about her many other projects at kathygarver.com, including that luxurious Mediterranean cruise aboard the Celebrity Equinox. For your fill of Family Affair news, go to familyaffair60thanniversary.com, where you can hear the theme song composed by TV veteran Frank Duvall. My thanks as always to Phil Hong, who shares in celebrating our own anniversary here at Brio TV, the podcast. This is our 250th episode. Couldn't have done it without you, Phil. Kudos as always to BJ Del Conte, Paul Boudra, and Stephen Dudley for the music heard on these podcast episodes. And finally, thanks to you, listener. You've helped us hit the 250 mark. Please share comments, request future guests, and continue to spread the word. I'm Bill Brio. Thanks for listening.